Waka! We all know the coming at you pose, but what makes this look cool? And this look like Boomer has only one leg. There have always been poses like this in comics, even in the 60s, and definitely in the 80s, but perhaps this specific foreshortening was made popular by Neal Adams in the 70s. And if something looks cool, it becomes classic after a while. Here it looks cool, here it doesn't. So let's take this pose, get the stick figure of what we see. There is a foot there, of course. Same running pose from the side would show both legs completely, and the camera is right in front of Boomer. Seen from the top like this, we see the back leg is just behind the quad, and it makes you realize how small the chance is, because in all the other angles we would see the back leg, about an 8% chance of the back leg being hidden in this case. I think Arthur Adams is partly to blame. This Wolverine poster was so popular that it became a go-to pose for himself and others. Eric Larson is a great artist and does the quad hide well, like in all of these. But I feel here he rushed the shape, because if you reverse engineer the figure, you see the hips are way too wide compared to the shoulder line. So the pose looks easy, but there are many ways to go wrong if you don't draw every underlying part, like the pelvis shape. Same problem here in Liefeld's Shadowhawk. But he can do it well though. Even these I feel all work, because the pose and action calls for that perspective, and the body area is big enough to hide the unseen leg parts. What helps is to have something popping out, so it's not just a single quad. So with Wolverine adding the spikes of the boots or the tip of the toes sticking out. Except here the toes don't work because they line up a bit too well with the kneecap. In the 90s, when Image started, there was a demand for people to draw in the Jim Lee Liefeld style, and many kids got a crack at it, maybe before they were really ready. And in these poses it feels a bit too random that the bottom leg would be hidden. Style over substance. Seasoned pros like Mike Mignola go for the realism, and especially with him, his figures work really well as silhouettes. Joe Quesada knows how to pick his idols, so his legs don't feel rushed. Here adding the bottom leg and foot slightly. Even here, it's almost a classic Liefeld pose, but he doesn't skimp on drawing everything. The perspective in the leg, the hint at the toes, perfect. John Romita Jr., another seasoned pro, and he's great at drawing running characters. They always look real, also good silhouettes, and see how here the hidden leg is totally called for. And of course here he didn't do it, because look, this here just wouldn't fit. So the golden rule, only do it when it fits. It's not the skill of the artist, I think, because to me it looks like Wolverine with one leg. Should have just probably added something like in these. And speaking of foreshortening, this is an interesting comparison. Bill Sienkiewicz trippy anatomy, and this Solar trying to do that, but not working. This is trying to be trippy, but in that cross-hatching Jim Lee style, which means the styles don't match. But here is foreshortening done well in this style by John Byrne. Tricky stuff, right? So when is it called for then? Perhaps if the underlying shape still reads well as a silhouette? Okay, let's break it down by naming the poses. Starting with bent foot hook leg. Probably the safest option because you see all the parts of each leg and it's instantly recognizable. Not that that makes it easy to draw though. Next, front running single quad real size and front running single quad foreshortening. Splitting it in two because the one on the left basically has a straight standing leg and the one on the right is kind of a squat. Not that different, but the one with the bent leg is definitely harder to draw. Okay, fan favorite. Mini and super mini jump quads. This is the easiest to draw. As long as the quads meet in the right way, considering the sockets of the hip bone, it basically looks cool. But I would make sure to also add that forward perspective in the torso. If you do that, then the hidden feet are called for, but don't use it as a crutch to not have to draw legs, or it will look like this. Okay, this might be the hardest one to draw. Pointy small leg perspective. Because if you don't keep the perspective distortion consistent in the whole body, it'll look like a man with small legs, like in Deadpool 2. Funny as that was, we don't want that. Neal Adams makes the hand a bit bigger than usual to create that effect here, and Jim Lee uses the whole shape as one big triangle, which really helps sell that small leg, like that Superman from earlier. Michael Turner was an amazing artist, but I feel here in this leg the perspective could have been a bit stronger. The leg feels kind of flat, which makes it look like a small leg, maybe with some wider hips compared to the knees and bottom foot, and also showing a difference in the shape between the high and low foot. Could have worked better. Okay, one more bonus dangly bananas jump. Usually a Spider-Man pose, but it looks good on other characters as well. This used to be one of my favorites to draw. The point here is not to rush the shape of the feet, so not bananas. And if it's not a silhouette, make sure to give equal importance to the top and bottom part. Unless seen from the top, then you only see the quads again. And we're full circle. I like them all, and I think any style could use them depending on the situation. I would just want to add some feet to these two though. Looks better, right? Anyway, this week's stick figure challenge was the fastball special, which is one of those classic coming at ya poses. I took the stick figure from this cool Jim Lee page. I'm redrawing the stick figure a bit, and in mine the foot will be visible from the side, because I feel like that sells the perspective a bit better. And I thought I'd draw it with some other characters besides Colossus and Wolverine. I went for Street Fighter 2! And I love that Bengus light coloring, so trying that here. High contrast with the white lighting and blue-purple shadows. Didn't really nail it, so I will definitely revisit this in another video. Subscribe if you don't want to miss that one. Okay, let's check the weekly challenge participants. A lot of them this week. And boom! Double entry by Raul. A fun reversal on the characters here. Maybe Deadpool could have been a bit bigger since he's coming at us, so closer to the camera. But nice lighting as usual, using that 90s counter glow I see. But this one is my favorite of the two. Wish I could see a bit more of the face of the victim. The black blood really pops, and nice variation on the jump pose. And Jason with a cool sketch. A lot of power coming from this one. I feel like it's still an underlying sketch, so it would be nice to see another layer on top of it with some inking. And Coben with a very cool entry, classic fastball. My advice here is for the hatching lines. The lines are quite thin, and for the fade effect, I feel it would work better to either have the thicker shark fin ones or shorter ones, or if they are those long thin ones, then maybe a bit closer together. It's tough though, because I struggle with it myself. Usually I go for thick short ones like here, and in this Daredevil from the Scott Williams video I gave it my best shot, but there's so many versions of the hatching that it gets tough to pick what to do where. Anyway, great colors here. There's 4 depth styles. If it were me, I would spread them out a little more, especially the two-tone. But honestly, his way looks good too. Then Samuel with another appearance of his OC, Amarelino. Great forward energy in this and popping colors. But here I have a good tip. We call this a tangent. When lines of 2 objects meet, it usually doesn't look good. So designers try to stay away from that. And in comic books, it means we don't want hands to exactly touch the panels and stuff. So here, having the action line either slightly above or over the head would have looked better. Then Avner also gave me 2. Here is another tangent. The tip of the toe exactly touching the biceps makes our brain wonder for an instant if it's in front or in the back, or if it's actually touching it. So in this case, I would have moved Spider-Man a little up. Great pose though, definitely has that swing feeling in it. But I prefer the torch one. It feels arty because of the flat high contrast colors and the sharp shadows. Kind of like a t-shirt design. Nice. And boom, here's Reggie. Very cool. A lot of attention spent on the clothes. And when you put the time into a drawing, it always adds that little special something. But maybe here as well, like in the Deadpool, I would have drawn Dracula a bit bigger since he's coming at us. Nice colors and expressions. Then last but not least, check out Eli's fantastic entry. Really good highlights on Psylocke's costume, and that's not easy to do. Great example of a good foreshortening in the legs, with that realistic foot shape slightly popping out. Also great anatomy, trying to find something to mention, and maybe just She-Hulk's face. I feel like the underlying structure misses the ear and chin a bit, so let me give it a try. but tough to make She-Hulk strong and still feminine. Mine kind of looks like a man with makeup on, but thank you for watching. And if you want to join in the weekly challenge, check the link in the description. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video and catch you next time.